There's a man, a businessman, successful in every way. His name is Richard, but people call him Rich, and it's fitting. His life is a testament to his hard work. He owns a huge company, lives in a grand house, and drives expensive cars. Everything he touches seems to turn into gold. People admire him. They look at him and see success. But behind all of it, there's something missing. Every day, Rich wakes up early. He gets ready for work, leaves his house, and dives into meetings, phone calls, and endless emails. It's the same routine every day. His company demands his attention, and he gives it willingly. There's always something new to achieve, another deal to close, another step to climb. But at the end of the day, when he walks through the doors of his lavish home, he feels empty. The large house feels cold and quiet. His walls are covered with expensive art, but none of it speaks to him. The grand dining table sits unused most nights, as he eats his meals alone. Despite all the success, Rich is lonely. He doesn't have time for friends, family, or relationships. His world is all about business, but deep down, something doesn't feel right. Then one day, as he walks down the street, he sees something that stops him in his tracks. It's a woman sitting by the sidewalk, and there's something about her that draws his attention. The woman is sitting on the cold pavement, wrapped in an old, faded blanket. Her clothes are torn, her hair messy, and her face weathered by time. She looks like she's been living on the streets for a long time, yet there's a quiet dignity in the way she holds herself. She doesn't look up as people walk by, but she doesn't seem desperate either. It's almost as if she's used to this life, this routine of waiting for someone to notice her. Rich slows down as he passes her. He's used to ignoring the homeless as most people do. But something about this woman catches his eye. Her eyes, though tired, hold a kind of calmness, an inner strength that he can't explain. There's no aggression in her posture, no frantic begging. She's just sitting there, watching the world move around her. It's almost as if she's waiting for something, or someone. Their eyes meet for a brief moment. She offers him a faint smile, a sad, knowing smile. It's not the kind of smile someone gives when they're asking for help. It's more like she's acknowledging something deep, something shared between the two of them. Rich doesn't understand it, but he feels a strange pull in his chest. As he stands there, frozen in place for a moment, he realizes he's never felt this way before. It's as if this woman sees right through him, as if she knows something he doesn't. His life, his success, it suddenly feels shallow compared to whatever quiet strength she holds. The moment passes, but Rich can't shake the feeling. There's something about her, something he needs to understand. The next day, Rich can't stop thinking about the woman. He tries to focus on work, but his mind keeps drifting back to her. Who is she? Why did he feel such a strange connection? What could he do to help? Finally, he makes up his mind. He can't ignore it anymore. He has to do something. He steps out of his office building, walking down the same street where he saw her. His heart beats a little faster as he approaches the spot. She's there again, sitting quietly on the sidewalk, just as she was the day before. Rich stops in front of her, not sure exactly what to say. He clears his throat. "Excuse me," he says softly. "Are you okay? Can I help you with something?" The woman looks up slowly, her eyes meeting his. There's no surprise in her expression, no shock that someone is speaking to her. It's almost as if she expected this moment. She nods gently but doesn't speak at first. Rich hesitates, unsure of what to do next. Finally, he asks, "Would you like something to eat? I can buy you a meal." She looks at him for a moment, as if weighing the offer. Then she smiles faintly, a little more warmly this time. "I'd appreciate that," she says quietly. Rich leads her to a nearby cafe. They sit in silence as he orders food for both of them. The atmosphere is calm, almost peaceful, and Rich can't help but notice how different it feels from the usual rush of his busy life. As they eat, he watches her carefully. She eats slowly, savoring each bite, as if this meal means more to her than just nourishment. There's no conversation at first, but Rich doesn't mind. Something about this moment, the quiet simplicity of it, feels comforting. For the first time in a long time, he feels at ease. Finally, he looks at her asking, "What's your name?" She hesitates for a moment before responding, "Lily." "Lily," Rich repeats softly. "I'm Richard, but everyone calls me Rich." They continue eating, and though the silence remains, it's not awkward. It feels like a quiet understanding between two strangers, both seeking something more, even if neither knows what that is just yet. After a while, the food is gone and the silence lingers between them. Rich looks at Lily, wondering if he should ask her more about her life. He doesn't want to be rude, but something about her makes him feel like he can open up too. "Lily," he says gently, "if you don't mind me asking, how did you end up here? I mean, how did it all happen?" Lily looks down for a moment, her fingers tracing the edge of her empty plate. For a few seconds, Rich wonders if she'll answer, if she'll tell him anything. Then she lets out a quiet sigh and looks up at him. Her eyes are heavy with memories, things she's carried for a long time. "Life isn't always what it seems," she begins slowly. "I used to have everything. A beautiful house, a wonderful family, and money, a lot of it. I didn't have to worry about anything." Rich listens closely, his curiosity growing. He didn't expect this. He thought she'd be used to the hardships of the streets, that maybe she'd given up hope on sharing her past. But instead, she's speaking with a calmness that surprises him. "My husband and I, we lived in a big house in the city," she continues. "We had everything we could ever want. I was so sure of my life, so certain about where it was going. I thought I was happy." Rich nods, trying to imagine her life before everything changed. He's never thought much about how people like her end up on the streets, but hearing her talk now, he's starting to understand there's more to the story. "Then one day," Lily says, her voice tightening, "everything came crashing down. My husband, he was hiding things from me. I found out that he'd been lying, cheating, and doing things that I never would have imagined." Rich's eyes widen. He can't believe what he's hearing. Lily's face is calm, but there's pain in her eyes, a kind of deep sadness that's hard to ignore. "He took everything," she says quietly. "Our money, our home, everything we built together. He left me with nothing. I had nothing but the clothes on my back. And the worst part, he didn't even care. He didn't feel sorry. He didn't look back." Rich feels a lump form in his throat. He can't imagine someone doing that to another person. To take everything from someone without a second thought. It's beyond cruel. But what shocks him even more is how calm Lily seems about it. It's as if she's accepted what happened, as if she's made peace with it. "I thought I'd never be able to start over," Lily continues, her eyes distant. "But sometimes, life has a way of changing things when you least expect it." Rich takes a deep breath, his mind racing. He feels a strange mixture of guilt and admiration. Guilt because he realizes how easy it is to take everything for granted, to live a life where money and success means so much, but admiration because Lily has survived all of it. She's still here, still going, despite everything. "You've been through a lot," he says softly, unsure of what else to say. Lily nods, her expression softening. "I have, but I've learned something from all this. I've learned that things don't define you. People don't define you. You define yourself." Rich stares at her for a moment, trying to wrap his head around everything she's said. He's shocked by her strength, but even more by the secret she's shared with him. She used to be someone like him. Wealthy, successful. But now, she's just trying to survive. To make sense of a life that was torn apart in an instant. And that's when it hits him. The woman sitting in front of him, the one who seems so different from the life he leads, is more similar to him than he ever imagined. As Lily finishes speaking, the cafe feels quieter somehow. The hum of the busy streets outside fades into the background, and all Rich can hear is the sound of his own thoughts. He looks at her, this woman who has lost so much and yet remains calm, strong. It's hard to reconcile the life she describes with the person sitting across from him. A part of him can't help but feel guilty, like he's somehow been living in a bubble, unaware of the struggles others face. Lily's story stirs something inside him, something he hasn't felt in a long time. He starts thinking about his own life, the way he's focused solely on work, on building his empire. He's never really stopped to ask if all this success truly makes him happy. Sure, he's accomplished everything he set out to do, but at what cost? As he looks at Lily, something nags at him. He wonders if he's been chasing the wrong things. Has he been too focused on accumulating wealth and status, thinking that would bring him fulfillment? Has he lost sight of what truly matters? Connections with others, the kind of human warmth that comes from helping and understanding? Rich can't help but think about his own loneliness. He has people around him, yes, but no real friendships. No deep relationships. He's built a life of luxury, but there's no one to share it with. No one to share his thoughts or his struggles. He's always been so focused on business, on being the best, that he's neglected the simple joys of life. The more Rich thinks about it, the more uncomfortable he feels. He realizes that he's been living a life that's hollow in many ways. He's surrounded by wealth, yet he feels distant from the world around him. And now, sitting across from Lily, he wonders, what if he's been too blind to see that it's not just money that brings meaning to life? What if there's something more to it, something deeper, that he's been missing all along? Over the next few days, Rich can't stop thinking about his conversation with Lily. Her words keep echoing in his mind, especially the part where she said, "You define yourself." He feels a growing discomfort, like a puzzle piece that's finally clicked into place. All this time, he's been so focused on climbing higher, accumulating more, thinking that success was the key to happiness. But now he wonders if he's been chasing the wrong things all along. He starts to notice the small things in his life that he's been ignoring, how disconnected he feels from the people around him, the emptiness of his achievements, and the loneliness that lingers even in his crowded, opulent house. It hits him hard. He's been so caught up in his own world that he's forgotten what really matters. Rich can't keep ignoring it. He needs to do something. He decides to visit Lily again. A few days later, he finds her sitting in the same spot on the sidewalk, just as he had seen her before. This time, though, he doesn't hesitate. He walks up to her, feeling a new sense of determination in his chest. She looks up, surprised but not shocked, as if she somehow expected him to return. "Lily," he says, his voice steady but softer than before. "I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about how you've survived everything, and about how you've rebuilt your life in your own way." Lily looks at him with quiet interest, waiting for him to continue. "I want to help you," he says, his words coming out more confidently now. "I know I can't change your past, but maybe I can help you start fresh. You don't have to live like this anymore." Lily looks at him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Rich feels a pang of nervousness. He's not sure how she'll respond. But then she nods slowly, a small smile tugging at the corners of her lips. "You're offering me a place to stay?" she asks, a little surprised. "More than that," Rich replies. "I'm offering you a chance to rebuild, a chance to do things your way, with the resources I can provide. I'm not just giving you a handout. I want to work with you, to help you find something that truly matters. You don't have to do this alone." Lily doesn't speak right away, but her eyes soften, and Rich can see a flicker of hope in them. It's a look he hasn't seen before, and it makes something stir deep within him. She's been through so much, and now, maybe she's starting to believe there's a way out. They talk for a long time that day, going over what might be possible, what kind of future they could create together. Rich tells her that he wants to help her find a place where she can feel safe and start working again. Somewhere that will give her a fresh start, something she can build on, without the weight of her past dragging her down. As they part ways, Rich feels a weight lift off his shoulders. He's not sure exactly where this path will lead, but for the first time in a long time, he feels like he's doing something right. He's taking a step that matters, not for his own benefit, but for hers. And as he walks away, he realizes something. He's finally starting to see life through different eyes. It's no longer just about his success, it's about making a real difference. And in helping Lily, maybe he'll find the meaning he's been searching for all along.